Okay, this is a nice first. I think I've got women from 4 different time zones around the world. So let's welcome first Kirsten Landman from South Africa. Thank you, Kirsten, very much for joining us. Yeah, it's awesome. And I have Vicky Piria from. Are you in Milan, Italy?
No, I'm in Italy, but I am at my parents' house, which is in middle part of Italy, Perugia.
Okay. And I've got 3 other ladies joining us, and they're just going to come in throughout this conversation. Topic today is around money, the biggie. And I think probably what prompted me to bring it out in the open was it's not discussed publicly very often at all. I've been covering women for 10 years, and I've actually never approached it directly. And I just thought, given the circumstances that are happening at the moment, and the uncertainties that we've got probably ahead, it's a good time to approach the subject, and just see how hard raising finances to race has been, as we look into the future. So Vicky, if we could start with you, what I know that you had 3 years out of actual racing.
Actually, 5.
5.
Well, 5. And within these 5 years, I would have maybe some spot races where they called me 2 days earlier and said, "Oh, we have a seat. Do you want to come and race and do this, do that?" But that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is that, obviously when I started racing, I found help and everything and funding and people that invested. So, and I reached high stages, as you know, so Sharon, I reached GP3, Formula 3 European, but then, to get better as a driver, to get higher in terms of classes, like you to racing Formula 2 or higher level championships or for better teams. At the end of the day, it's all about money, unfortunately. So it is a tough topic at 360 degrees also, because what people don't realize is that there are some people that can race and just focus on the racing. There are some people that can't race because they don't have the budget. There are some people that can race, but I remember racing in Formula 3 and my phone ringing Wednesday and saying, "Oh, we have the budget, come and do the race." And I'd catch the flight the afternoon to get to the track. But at the end of the day, you're uncertain until like a day before the race. And I am now in a situation where I'm racing, thanks to W Series, and it's fully funded and everything. But at the end of the day, I'm not just a driver. I'm a 26 young girl that has to make a living and pay her bills. And even though my job is really cool because it's involved in media and stuff I do with cars and everything, at the end of the day, it's always my job. So it's not like I can focus 100% my days just on the racing like many other drivers do. So it's a topic that you need to see at 360 degrees.
Yeah. Okay. And I think, do you feel like being selected for W Series in 2019 was like a super golden opportunity, Vicky?
Absolutely.
It took a big part of the pressure off.
Of course, because I probably the first 2 years of my racing career where I was I was really young, 15, 16, and I didn't realize about all the money. But since, before W Series, there has not been one racing season where I was sure I'd race the race after the one I was racing. You know what I mean? Like, there was not one season where I was 100% sure and confident that we had the budget to do the full season. And and the thing is, it does hurt you mentally as well. It's not a good thing mental. And also in terms of the preparation and testing, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you're a better driver if you train more, if you're in the track more. And I remember starting off championships really well, really powerful, because we were kind of on the same level. But as the others went testing and I didn't, it got harder for me to keep up. And so yeah, W Series in that sense has took a huge pressure off me, because we're all racing in a fair condition. And you know, I'm racing race 1, and I know I'll race until the last race of the season. So that's pretty, you know, cool.
Outside of W Series, how do you think being a woman affected all those challenges of not knowing week by week, Vicky, whether you were actually going to race? Do you feel your gender affected people's decisions?
You know, being a woman in that sense is it's a bit weird, because in one sense you have a lot of media opportunities and you get your journalists in and everything, so you can do a lot of stuff and you get a lot of good media coverage. But then I remember going to speak to sponsors when I was younger, like 15, 16, and, you know, talking about the dream about Formula One and everything, and they would look at you and say, but can you actually drive a Formula car? Could you even go to Formula One? I was like, yes, that's the plan. And so in one way, being a woman helps, because you get more media coverage. Like, I'm working loads in the media, and probably if I was a man, I would not be doing the same things. But on the other hand, in terms when it comes to money, being a woman could be a problem, because at the end of the day, there haven't been strong examples of women in Formula One lately in the past years. So then people can't say, oh, I'm going to invest on this girl because she's a good driver, because they say, what if it doesn't happen, as it has never happened lately? You know what I mean?
This year, it is incredibly unfortunate and disappointing. And W Series only recently announced the move of the whole series over to 2021. In one way, Vicky, there is that affirmation, I suppose, or confirmation that you will race next year, even though nothing happens this year. Is that something that gives you a little bit of reassurance?
Well, I mean, if you think about, I'm not even saying a year ago, but if you think about the beginning of 2020, and if I told you there will be a pandemic and nothing would happen, like the disaster would happen and Formula One would be postponed, and, you know, all of this would happen, you probably wouldn't believe me. So at the end of the day, I think now, who knows what's gonna happen in that sense. So you know, we weren't sure before. How can we be sure now? So definitely, you know, I qualified to race this year, so I just hope that this will just shift to next year. But at the end of the day, you know, it's all about money, unfortunately, so you don't know what's going to happen. But I'm sure in terms of W Series and their spirit and the way they work, that they will try to do the thing that's the most fair, obviously, because that's just how they built this championship from zero, on the fairness.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Vicky. Kirsten, quite a different circumstance for yourself. Racing the Dakar earlier this year, and basically your career in extreme enduro. Vicky's talked about the unknown and the uncertainty of when she would be racing, and it got down to such extreme measures of a phone call, and then she's on the plane in the afternoon. Um, it's really quite stressful, I would imagine. How how um, how did you face the finances on to be able to race in your sport, Kirsten?
So for me, I mean, I suppose for all the other girls on talking tonight, it's the sport of hard enduro. Even in Dakar, it's still developing. You know, women in motorsport, it's still something that's growing, and to go forward to a sponsor, and I'm talking extreme enduro and Dakar rally, and say to them, you know, you want to do this race, this is my budget. Again, they have those doubts. Are you even capable of doing this? I mean, I had people doubting me even getting to the start line, let alone my capabilities. So first of all, I mean, I'm doubted because I'm a female. Can a female finish the Dakar rally? And as well with my other races, like going to Romania for Romaniacs, you know, Roof of Africa, all the extreme enduros all around the world. There's that initial doubt of whether we're capable of doing it. So it's hard to try, you know, you've got to try to convince someone. And being in the sport of extreme enduro, it's a lot harder to try and, you know, explain someone about your skills, because our races aren't televised, nor are there spectators to see it, you know. So, and coming from the background of racing that I do, and especially here in South Africa and also on the Extreme Enduro World Series, there is no women's class. So I'm racing against the guys, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It's been great for my career because it's pushed me in a lot of ways, but I can't podium. You know, if I'm trying to podium, I'm trying to podium against the best in the world. And for me to even, you know, to finish the race alone is a huge challenge on its own. So I can't promise my sponsors that come on board TV time. I can't, you know, I mean, they don't even acknowledge, they don't even give us a podium if there are enough ladies in a race. They don't even, in the races, we aren't even given a podium, let alone prize money. So it's very hard. I'm sure everyone feels the same way, but to try and to get a sponsor coverage, the only way I can do it is through social media, Facebook and Instagram, and obviously try and promote myself. I mean, I've tried to create a brand for myself and a name through training schools and races around the world, that sort of thing. And that's the only kind of way, you know, you can give back as a sponsor. I mean, to a sponsor. I mean, just Dakar, for example, was quite a shock to me. With it being such a big race, and with the likes of Elias Sons really doing really well in that race, and especially for females, you know, they didn't even have a female podium. You know, they've got a podium for every other class, whether it be side-by-sides, quads, because obviously it's male dominated. The race is 99.9% male. But, you know, there were women in the trucks, there were women in the cars, there were women in the bikes. I mean, there were 5 ladies racing in the bike class. There were 3 or 4 ladies racing in the cars, trucks. So, I mean, there must have been about 10, 11 women in total at Dakar 2020. But there is no acknowledgement of the females that are there. And it's not that, you know, it's not that, you know, it's if you podium and if someone has done really well, we do in 100% the same route. We put in the same effort to be there. If there's enough to make a podium, acknowledge the women that are there, and I think that's where the problem lies, is that they're not acknowledging the women that are there. Therefore, sponsors aren't going to come on board because they're not getting the coverage that the males are. Males are getting the coverage because there's a podium for them, and there's TV time for them. If they had to give the women the TV time and put them on a podium, then you'd have more sponsors wanting to come on board for athletes, and then as well the growth of the sport would also probably be a lot better, because young kids would watch this, see a hero on TV and see a female at the Dakar rally, and then hopefully grow up to want to do the Dakar one day. And I mean, when I was a kid, there was no one doing that, but now, I mean, as a little 8-year-old girl, when I remember myself, if I saw Elias Sands on the TV, I mean, it would be a huge inspiration, but you don't really see that. And I think, like I said, I think that's where the problem lies. And it's been my problem my whole career, is again just trying to develop the sport, but media and what's going out there isn't allowing us to develop it. I mean, listening to what Vicky says, the W Series here in South Africa, it doesn't get aired. Only reason I knew about it was because Motorsport South Africa put out that one of the South African girls was taking part in one of the races, and because I'm a Motorsport fan, I went and followed it. But other than that, it's not put out there, you know. So I think there's a huge lack of, in general, whether it be motorsport, sport in general with female, there's a lack of interest with what females are doing. And I mean, we're 2020 now. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And it's platforms like this where women should speak up to promote that change and say, you know, enough is enough.
Yeah, it's you've raised some really interesting things, Kirsten. Just before I go on, welcome Sabre, sorry, and welcome Jordan. Yeah, we've got lots of different time zones here, so yeah, it's awesome to have you both here. Yeah, that's great. I think probably number one for me out of that from Kirsten was the return of investment, where brands and sponsors get on board, and what can the rider or the racer or the driver provide in return. And number two is media. There has to be I think a greater connection between, and with technology, it's not hard. If I can connect women from all around the world in just one live stream, which is going to take an hour, there's no reason why others can't tap into the same type of profile and bring all these women together. I do feel a collaborative effort produces far more awareness than if we just basically stick to individuals, and then that's something that you can build on. Kirsten, tell me, just before we move on, tell me what the differences that you found between gaining financial support for your enduro to gaining in the more higher profile Dakar. And did you feel there was equality between the guys who are riding within, you know, from that place, from 50th position through to 100th position, because you came in 55th? Yeah, these are little hidden secrets that we don't know.
Yeah. So going back to your first question with return in terms of hard enduro, my extreme career, to get sponsors on board, it's a constant battle. It's really hard. You know, the sponsors are happy to throw product at you, but the moment you ask for a salary, because you do need money to live, and to be an athlete at this level, it's a full-time job. It's not a matter of, you know, working half day and then trying to fit time into train. At this level you can't, and also with the type of traveling that goes into it, they forget about the flights and the accommodation and the tires and all those other things that come into it. And so from extreme enduro, it's been it's been really tough. I've had to can races because I haven't had the funding to get to the races. And also coming from South Africa, we're so far away from everything in Europe. You know, the World Extreme Series is in Europe. And also traveling on a South African passport, it isn't easy, you know, to get visas. It's expensive. And, you know, it's not like we can, you know, you've got to get a visa for every single country that you go to. And so that's the biggest part. And when you approach international sponsors, when they see you from South Africa, it's like they turn a blind eye to you. I don't know what it is. But it's pretty disappointing, and we've seen it with some of our best riders in male riders in the hard enduro scene, that when you're from South Africa, you know, you kind of get shoved to the side but if you're European, you've got 1 foot in the doorstep. So from that side, it's been really hard. And also with being in South Africa, with the rand to euro, you know, everything is 3 times the price of what it is here, as opposed to be in Europe. So we've also got that because of, I mean, our current country's economy and what's going on, and also us being so far. And then, so the extreme enduro stuff's really hard to get sponsors on board. But then for the Dakar Rally, because it's such a world-renowned race, the average Joe on the side of the road knows what the Dakar Rally is. I must say, it wasn't easy, but it was certainly a lot easier to sit down and approach a corporate that knows nothing about motorbikes and ask him for the budget for Dakar. We marketed it very well. Luckily, my CV and my previous races leading up to the Dakar, I certainly had enough to make sure to make the sponsor believe that I was capable of doing the Dakar. And what it was, I don't know if it was lucky or if it was the right timing, but I got a really good sponsor on board. Ryobi Africa came in, and came in all on board. It's not often you find one sponsor that comes in all in, and covers your whole Dakar. I mean, I only had one sponsor for Dakar, and it was Ryobi. And I think it's just like for us females in motorsport, and in anything, it's how you sell yourself and how you put yourself out to the public, and how you make the package look valuable. I'm not in any way saying that I sold myself to get to Dakar, but I made sure that the sponsor got back what they put in, and that it was a very successful campaign. The marketing team that we had marketing me during Dakar, before and after, it was the company that sponsored me had, for the 11 months that I was on board, had 11 consecutive record high months, and it worked really well. The brand worked well with my motto and what we're going there to do, and it was actually an extremely successful campaign, and it's one that I use going forward with sponsors. That if you take the trust and belief in a woman, that we are just as capable and we are just as marketable as anyone being number one. Yes, I didn't finish first. I mean, I finished 55th, but it's all how you market it and how you put it out there that it can be valuable, So from that side, it was a huge eye opener for me. It's just got to be marketed correctly, and from that way, you got to put money in to make money. And luckily, this sponsor had the money to do that, and it worked out extremely successful for them. So I think for here in South Africa, it was a good thing, and a lot of sponsors are coming on board and are supporting women in motorsport, which is good. And my Dakar campaign was a huge eye opener, which I'm very grateful for, because it's made even me, when I cracked that sponsorship, I was like, wow, I can actually get big dogs on board, and we can actually do this. So yeah, it was a good thing.
Yeah. Vicky, everyone's got different circumstances. With the marketing side for yourself, and as you say, this takes up so much of your time, and you don't have actually a lot of race time, because those opportunities aren't there outside W Series. How do you feel about splitting your energy to market yourself and to basically keep the job going?
I can't hear what you say. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I hear really just a disturb. I don't know if it's just me.
I don't know. I'll take Jordan off. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan's gone somewhere. I was just asking, the marketing side, it takes a lot of energy and effort, and you do spend so much time trying to keep that ticking over. Do you feel that it is of necessity, I suppose, but it takes you away from the actual sole purpose of your career, which is racing?
The thing is that it's not like you imagine it. I mean, I think a driver, just like Kirsten was saying now. I mean, you need to be a driver, but you kind of have to be an entrepreneur of yourself in a way, because at the end of the day, it's how you are with the sponsors, with the media, even like the way you behave with an engineer, mechanics. It's important to be, you know, right in that sense. But for sure, not having the thing is, when you're racing and you have no guarantee that you'll keep on racing, that you have the funding or whatever, you need to keep your options open, and you need to keep working hard on the media side, on the funding side, because I mean that's what's keeping your dream alive. I mean, but if I look back to my career, when I was a bit younger and I was racing in GP3 and Formula 3, I mean, I was totally in 100%. Yeah, I had school, but I mean, I didn't care much. So I was just focused on racing. And then I went to the States and I tried it out there because, you know, following the American dream, you know, trying to be the new Danica Patrick, but that did not work out. So I came back after 2 races. And I found myself in a situation where I was not racing, and from, you know, being 100% committed to something, which is your biggest passion, your biggest goal, and kind of find yourself in a position where you can't just find a way to get back in a car. It's hard mentally. It's really hard because, you know, you give all yourself to something, and then it's out of your control if you race or not. So that's when I started working. Okay. And when I started working, I chose to do a job that would help me probably go back racing. So that's why I started being an instructor and working a lot on the media and stuff. And at the end of the day, I believe that a lot of opportunities of me racing is thanks to that choice I did in terms of work. And at the moment now, you know, I'm 26, I'm 27. Obviously, my heart, everything is all on the racing. If I could just think of, if I could, you know, do just that, I'd be the happiest person in the world. But I know that I can't give myself 100%, because at the end of the day, if W Series wasn't here, probably I would have no guarantees of racing anyway, for financial problems. So you need to keep your options open. You need to keep your plan B, because at the end, yes, we are drivers, but we're still persons, you know, just still people. And but at the end of the day, again, I'm saying it for the 500th time, at the end of the day, I think I feel so blessed. I mean, at the end, we can complain about financial problems and ifs and that and that. But if I look back into my career, I did GP3 in Monaco. I raced in India. I raced in the States. Now, at the moment, I'm racing a Formula 3 car, completely for free, with a good prize money. So at the end of the day, I still feel really grateful for what I'm doing. And I think that, you know, my hard work, and when I talk about hard work, it's the training, it's the mental preparation, it's the media work, it's stuff for the sponsors, it's the stuff for the, you know, all the work that you put to being a driver it's worth it. And it means, you know, if I'm here, I've done something right, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it pushes the point that how adaptable all you women have been, and I know Sabre and Jordan as well. When obstacles or plans stop, and you have to reassess, and you have to rethink. I know with Jordan, he was women's motocross champion in America, and then for all reasons we don't understand, the whole championship was just cancelled completely, and Jordan had to take a huge step back and think, right, well, you know, what do I do now? I mean, I don't want to relegate myself to amateur status when I've just won a world champion, an American championship, and Sabre as well. Even given present day Sabre, you had races lined up for Road to Indy, and all that has happened to this point. That uncertainty whether they will go ahead is up in the air. But Sabre has a basket full of skills, which is, you know, engineering background, So I think it's definitely an attribute that all of you possess, which comes to the fore, and maybe outshines the guys. Let's hope. Okay, I'm just going to play a clip. This is a clip on Vicky. It's from last year, the W Series. I think, Vicky, you're a bit hard on yourself, though. I think you've done great. Ninth overall.
If I think about 2019 season, it's still quite overwhelming. And it really felt like the first race, because passing the selections, being able to overcome all of that in front of so many girls that, really worked hard to get into W Series was great for me. Having the simulator gave me the right preparation to arrive to the races. I'm not completely happy of how it went, especially the first races, but I guess I needed more time to adapt. I met my expectations, like in Misano and in Brands Hatch. It worked. In some other races like Aston, where I was very fast, I thought I could have done better. But overall, I gave myself, a 6.
Okay, and this is a clip of Kirsten. It's pre-Dakar, but I think it shows the viewers her foundation that she's built up on for her riding and racing in Enduro.
It's been a 2.5-year process of preparations. Everything I've done in my whole career, from my first Roof of Africa in 2012 to my first Romaniacs in 2014, my accident in Botswana in 2013, and then working with a mental coach for the last 2 years and just becoming a stronger rider and growing from strength to strength with experiences in off-road and going back to the Desert 1000 in 2018. I'm ready for this, The Dakar being in Saudi Arabia, just Dakar in general. For me, I always say that saying ignorance is bliss. I have no idea what to expect. I'm going there with an open mind. I'm going there to ride my bike. I will write on my handguards what I write on every single one of my extreme races. On the left-hand side, keep the wheels turning, and on the right-hand guard, get to the finish line.
Yeah, which is awesome. Okay, if we can speak with Sabre. Sabre, you definitely have a wonderful skill background that you've developed in academia and engineering. Can you let us know some of the challenges that that you've had to come through to be able to pursue a career racing, and also to keep that development in your working role as well? I don't know. Can Sabre hear me? I'll just play a clip of Sabre's.
So we'll start with the front of the car. This is the Alfa Romeo 1.8 liter 4-cylinder single turbo engine in the back rear wing. So with that pressure difference, it sucks the car to the ground. It's called the Venturi effect.
I realized I wanted to be an engineer when I was in about high school with math in like the 3rd grade. Took a mechanical engineering class and got to see what it was all about. It felt amazing to be selected in the W Series. It was a big weight off my shoulders and I was very excited for the opportunity. The thing I love about engineering is that you never know everything. There's always more to learn, there's always more to explore. There's always a better way to do something.
Okay, Sabre, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I couldn't hear everybody was frozen, so I disconnected and tried to.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to play that clip of you again, and that gives people an introduction of your race career.
Okay. So we'll start with the front of the car. This is the Alfa Romeo 1.8 liter 4-cylinder single turbo engine in the back rear wing. So with that pressure difference, it sucks the car to the ground. It's called the Venturi effect.
I realized I wanted to be an engineer when I was in about high school with math in like the 3rd grade. Took a mechanical engineering class and got to see what it was all about. It felt amazing to be selected in the W Series. It was a big weight off my shoulders and I was very excited for the opportunity. The thing I love about engineering is that you never know everything. There's always more to learn, there's always more to explore. There's always a better way to do something.
Okay, awesome. So, Sabre, I was just asking that question. You've managed to somehow, I don't know how, pursue a race career, as well as develop your skills in that work role in engineering. You did get that scholarship, which was based in the UK with Infinity Engineering last year. But back now home, can you give us an indication on what have been those financial challenges up to this present day?
So I guess, I mean, everything has been a struggle financially from once I got more advanced in my karting career, and then I didn't make a transition to cars until much later than most people do, just because I didn't have the funding to go and run a full series or anything. So it just took a lot of continue to beat on doors and make connections and putting your name out there and talking to people and like just going to events, going to races and meeting the people that you can, and because you never know who you're going to meet, and just kind of maximizing all the opportunities that you can. I mean, right now, like with W Series being canceled, I was supposed to be racing in the Road to Indy and Indy Pro 2000 for the rest of the year, even if W Series didn't go. But now, obviously, with the pandemic and the economy is tanked, so it's put me in a difficult spot because my sponsorship's been delayed, and it's difficult right now to even go and approach companies and ask them to support you, because now so many people are just firing. They've fired and let go of so many people. So how can I ask them for $250,000 when they've had to let families go that they need those jobs? So it's a really difficult spot to be in, and just trying to look ahead, and maybe 2020 is just going to be salvaging the kind of minimizing damage. But it's been a struggle forever, and it's been the hardest part is knowing how to market yourself and having the right people around you and knowing who to approach and knowing how to find the decision makers. I think that's just been a trial and error process for me, and I've been lucky to really have my dad to help me with that, because he's quite good with business, and so I've just gone and as a 16-year-old like went into companies and just like put on business attire and told them what I wanted to do, where I was going, and how I needed to get there. And it's just, you get 100 no's before you get one yes, and that's really what it all comes down to, is you just have to be persistent.
Yeah. Do you think that being a female has been a disadvantage in some areas, and has there been an advantage in other areas? Because the odds of a woman racing against what the population is of the country is like, it's just so off the plane.
I'm not sure. Did you say, is it been a disadvantage as a female for the sponsorship?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I think in some ways it can be actually an advantage, because it sets you apart from obviously the other male drivers, but it also some people will tend to not take you as seriously, or they really ask you, do you really think you can do it? Like, do you really think you can compete with the guys? And like, how do you think you'll actually do? And you're just like, I think I'll do pretty well, obviously, or I probably wouldn't be asking you for this amount of money. So it's just about like you know, just being confident and that you know that where you want to go and that you can get there as long as you get their support, and eventually they either get persuaded or you just find someone that will support you.
Okay. Do you think the selection for W Series last year added a little bit more credibility to your profile?
Sorry, what was that? It's like very crackly.
Yeah, it's quite
your end.
crackly.
I can't really.
Sounds like bacon frying.
Yeah, it does.
The selection for W Series, has that helped?
It definitely being in W Series has definitely boosted my profile nationally and well, mostly internationally. It's definitely grown my fan base and allowed me to meet new contacts and have a little bit more leverage. So it's definitely helped. Like there's definitely been no cons to being involved in W Series.
Yeah, okay. Maybe like just don't disappear, Sabre, because I'll come back. Jordan, can we bring you in now, because you've faced your fair share of difficulties. Probably the biggest one was, well, for me, was the cancellation of America's WMX. I didn't see a reason for it, but obviously they had plenty. But I think what showed, what showed me personally was you weren't prepared to give up, throw in the towel. You basically turned the switch over and said, right, these are my new goals, and you achieved it. You went out and you competed in the pro outdoors, and you've just gained your first 2 points in the Supercross. Yeah, which, congratulations. I think that's pretty awesome. Can you just reflect back and think how tough, mentally as well? You've just won the Woman MX in America, and thinking that, I'll race it again to defend my title the following year, and it's gone.
Yeah. It was very difficult. I kind of saw it coming. The WMX slowly started to kind of diminish and dwindle down every year. And by the time that I was old enough to race it, because I raced it the first year I was eligible, I did end up winning, which was awesome, but there wasn't much left of it at that point. And I kind of saw it coming to an end that year. So that's why it was so special to me to win it one time before they got rid of it. But unfortunately, that kind of ruined some plans for me. It led me to open my eyes definitely to some different options. Once that went away, I knew that I had to find some other way to keep my career going, because I knew what I wanted to do motocross, where I wanted to stay. And it led me into thinking more of the men's pro racing, which I always kind of wanted to do, but the cancellation of the WMX led me to it, I think, just a little bit quicker than I was ready to. But definitely making progress to it. I got a good shot this year at making the outdoor. Still working on my super, but it all led the WMX in Europe, and I got to do one race over there this year, which was awesome. It wasn't the best one to start out with. It was a complete mud race, and it was just really bad conditions. But it was awesome to go over there and see how professional all the women are over there and see how much support they get. Unfortunately, it was very difficult for me to get over. It was very pricey for myself to get over. I'm 19 and I don't have a ton of funding coming my way at the moment. But the whole sport of motocross is pricey. I mean, all these women that we've been talking to today have all had their difficulties as well. And I think it it all goes hand in hand. Every woman in a motorsport, I feel like we all kind of have the same issues. The fact that we can't get sponsors like men can. We do have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to sponsors, but we have to get sponsors to look at us first to see the advantages that we have, and it can be very difficult. Like I said, I don't have the women's anymore, the women's racing here in America, so I don't have that little bit of extra publicity. So I have to race with the men's, and it's twice as hard to get recognized when it's all men and one woman, when you're struggling to get through and they get everything that you don't.
Yeah. Kirsten, you would know that. Yeah. Let's just take a look at Jordan, what you've achieved in the Supercross field, because first woman to gain points, would that be correct?
To gain points through this method, a couple years ago, Vicky Golden actually ended up getting points through Arena Cross, and I'm doing it through the Supercross series.
Okay. So let's just take a clip, and then we'll just ask both Jordan and Sabre a couple more questions. Jordan, how difficult was it to get sponsors on board for the Supercross futures? There is an advantage because AMA Supercross is a massive championship series, but you do race before the mains. Were there areas, I suppose, where you needed to be quite proactive and basically putting your case forward?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said earlier, it's twice as hard for us to get sponsorships, especially in Supercross. There was one woman before me that did try and do Supercross, and I guess it didn't end well with the promoters of Supercross. So it's kind of been a little bit harder for me than I was hoping. I was hoping to, maybe get a little help from them, but they're a little hesitant to do so. But I'm going to get there, and I'm going to make some progress. But it's very difficult just because no female has really attempted to do Supercross. So to come in and try and be the first one to do it is already going to be difficult. And because I haven't been in the pro scene for very long, I feel like that's also making it a little bit harder for me to get new sponsors. And the whole virus and everything that's going on now is definitely making everything very, very hard. It is hard to get bike parts and products and stuff like that I need to continue to ride, so I can keep pushing myself, so that when everything does come around, I'm still ready. So there's a lot going against me and all the other female athletes out there, but we're going to get through it, and we're going to keep pushing people, and we're going to keep getting where we want to get.
Yeah, and I think, Sabre, for you, there is one consolation that W Series has pushed out over to 2021. Does that give you a little bit of positive reassurance, I suppose, that racing will start up again for you, even if it may be not till next year?
I mean, it does give reassurance knowing that they've guaranteed our spots for 2021. But in the end, I know, like, obviously the sponsorship fight doesn't stop just because of W Series, because ultimately, you can't
W Series isn't the end all goal. So getting to IndyCar is, and that's going to take a lot of money. So it's about building the profile and being able to go and do other races as well, in addition to W Series, to ultimately get there in a few years. So it's very reassuring, and I'm super happy to have W Series support and for them to give us this amazing gift of all the seat time and exposure. So I definitely can't say that like without them it would be much harder, but the fight doesn't stop with them, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. And for you, Jordan, obviously the outdoors will start up again. Will that be your focus? Will there be Loretta's and there'll be a woman category? What have you got, coming up in those next few months?
Loretta's is still happening, and I have my regional for Loretta's this weekend.
Okay.
I'm hoping to make the women's class and possibly the 250A class, pro class. That's definitely going to be a main focus, but the outdoor nationals are going to be where I'm putting most of my my thinking and my effort towards. Loretta's is great. It's a great event. It means a lot. I just think I'm a little past that point, and I think I need to start focusing on the men's pro racing side to get my name out there to help out with, funding and hopefully making this a long-lasting career for myself.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, thank you very, very much, all these women, and the same with Vicky ran out of data or something. But I think it's been great because it's not only bringing women together who are racing, but you all have different disciplines, and yet there are similar issues. And probably if there's one thing that's come out of it is we can put topics to the open. I got so many views at the top I can't count. There's all sorts of emojis and there's comments on the side. So I'll have a look at it when we're finished. But Kirsten, thank you very much for your time. I know it's late in South Africa. And Sabre and Jordan, thank you so much for joining and listening to the other women as well. Yeah, it's really great, and I appreciate it as well. So let's hope that we keep the momentum going, and we can all connect at some point in the future. Because I think it's definitely there's power in the collective.
Cool. Thanks, Sharon.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
For having us.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys.